Igu Aro Ndi Igbo may be as old as Igbo civilization, but what is the meaning and significance? Is there a chance that Ndi Igbo are losing touch with the values that made the Igbo society thrive in times past? Through changing times and political interference that changed the Igbo traditional landscape, are these all-important traditions of Igu Aro Ndi Igbo in danger of disappearing? Is a revival possible? And who will lead this revival? This is the Eastern Eye. I'm Alex Ogbodo. Welcome to the Eastern Eye here on Afia TV. It's a program that x-rays the political, social, and economic developments around us. Tonight, we'll be taking a look at Igu Aro Ndi Igbo. What it is exactly. When we talk about Igu Aro, for some people who understand the language, they would think it's just mere identification of it. But what's the deeper essence of having Igu Aro in Igbo land? Why is it that Igbo lunar calendar does not start in January? Why do we have a 13-month calendar in Igbo land other than the 12 that we're used to from the Gregorian calendar? And a lot of people will wonder, what exactly is the significance of Igu Aro and its connection to agriculture in Igbo land? What is also the connection of Igu Aro with masquerades in Igbo land? What's the connection between Igu Aro and the well-being of people in Igbo land? By that we mean the mental, physical, and other well-being, if you like. Because there are different realms when you discuss Igu Aro, right from the first month to the 13th month. There is always some kind of significance attached to every month of the Igbo lunar calendar. What is it about really? We will find out why Ndi Igbo must continue. When I say Ndi Igbo must continue to hold on to this all-important tradition, examples have been given about the Chinese and other cultural groups in the world who continue to hold on to their values. In fact, if you visit China, they're having their Chinese New Year. It's something that they celebrate over a period of time. Not a day, not 2 days. They take a week or even two to celebrate the Chinese New Year. So why are we reneging here in Igbo land in finding out and celebrating the Igbo lunar calendar? What is the problem? Like they will say in Igbo land, "Onawambe kamara bisi konagoba doronko." Is it for a lack of know-how or for a lack of will to do it? We will be right back when we meet our guest, Prince Chukwuemeka Onyesoh. He's an author and social critic, Oba Agbalanze Na Nri. He will be my guest. He will be providing perspectives on why Ndi Igbo must continue on one of the most singular, most important traditional activity that Ndi Igbo has been performing right from time. Stay with us. You're welcome back to Afia TV's Eastern Eye. Well, thank you for staying tuned. But I have my guest tonight, Prince Chukwuemeka Onyesoh, Oba Agbalanze Na Nri. And
thank you, Alex.
And tonight we are taking a look at Igu Aro Ndi Igbo, the meaning and significance. We're on air on radio in the morning, and we had quite some time explaining and talking about some of the issues around Igu Aro Ndi Igbo. But first of all, let's find out, what is Igu Aro Ndi Igbo? For people who are actually stumbling onto that subject right now, what does it mean?
Igu Aro Ndi Igbo is simply put, proclamation of the Igbo lunar calendar. You know, you are familiar that the calendar is a chart or device which displays the date and the day of the week in a month, and often the whole of a particular year divided up into months. The Igbos had their own long before the coming of the white man. If you don't know, the world-acclaimed calendar, the Gregorian calendar, which is a church calendar, was founded only 1585. Our calendar dates back to over 900 AD. We have always used it, and it's based, of course, from the days of the week, Eke, Oye, Afo, Nkwo, all of which have shrines in Nri. Our priests normally used to go about consecrating these markets all over the place. 4 of those days make up the Igbo week. And 7 of those weeks, which give you 28 days, make up the Igbo month, lunar month, based on the moon cycle. And 13 of those months, based on the moon cycle, give you the Igbo lunar year.
So why is it a thing? Some people will say, okay, why do we have to talk about the Igu Aro Ndi Igbo? Why is the Igbo lunar calendar important?
It is important as the Gregorian calendar is to the world. Now the world has adopted it, but that doesn't mean that you don't have the Indian calendar, you have the Muslim calendar, you have the Japanese calendar, you have the Jewish calendar. So if all these, which regulate their particularly religious activities and agricultural, if all of them have it and they obey it, the Chinese break off for as much as 2 weeks in a year to celebrate their calendar, because their various ancestral and religious activities are dictated by that calendar. Just like with us, the traditional worshippers, everything they do is dictated by that calendar. So if the Gregorian calendar is there, and the Muslims have their own calendar, the Jews have their calendar, the Indians have, the Chinese have, why wouldn't we? Even though we seem to be the only ones in Nigeria who have a calendar dated back to as far back as 900 AD. The rest who are claiming superiority of civilization don't have anything like that. The North that makes all the noise about culture and the rest of them, the only one they know is what the Arabs brought with Islam. They don't have any indigenous calendar. The Yorubas don't have, and the rest of them don't have. Which shows you how deep Igbo civilization is before the colonial powers and the church missionaries came to destroy it. Luckily, Nri people who are custodians of this culture have refused to let it die. They have observed it right from the day they attacked Nri in 1911 up to today. They observe it year to year. Those who have ears, let them hear. Our politicians are no good, because they are the people who make sure that what they are promoting is whatever is local to their communities. The kind of thing Buhari did with his fellow Islamists and his Katsina people, that's exactly what Igbo politicians, dating from Nnamdi Azikiwe, have done to Igbo culture and civilization. But our people say, Ada Abaka Abo fear. You can't snap the fingers without the thumb. Nri is the custodian of Igbo culture and tradition, initiator of whatever the Igbo people are known for good. No violence, no slavery, nothing that casts inferiority on any human being, which is the dignity, promoting the dignity of the human person. No human sacrifice. Dwarfs, full citizens, Jima, or twins, as you may call them, accepted when people were throwing them away. Some even ran to real sanctuary and they grew up there and became full human beings. So as we go on, I will let you know, even the world itself failed to do a lot of things which we started doing long before. The essence of peace as a mechanism for ruling and a mechanism for promoting development. The world fought 2 world wars, lost over 80 million people before they realized that they should promote the idea of sanctity of life and the dignity of the human person in the United Nations Charters of 1948. All these factors were in English civilization long before the Ocha and the colonialists and the churches came and found that it more or less challenges a lot of what they believe in or what they are doing.
All right, so let's get back to the calendar. And it has 13 months.
Yes.
As against the Gregorian calendar's 12 months.
Yes.
Help us actually put it in context. Why we have a 13-month lunar calendar here? Yes.
Without saying it, mathematically, or in arithmetic, if it's 28 days in every month, it means 2 to 3 days difference. And if you aggregate it, it's bound to give you the extra month. But theirs is worked out by someone. That means our own is following the moon, lunar. And the moon seems to have 28-day cycle. So first month of the year, that is Onwambo, as we call it. That's between February and March, which is where we are now. We call it Onwa Gumaro. The second is Onwa Abo, clearing of farm and land. That's March and April. Onwa Ifeke is the third. Eke is a deity, and you must refer to it. That is celebration of Eke deity in Uganda during farming and commencing of planting April, May. Fourth is Onwano, planting in full gear. That's May, June. And then you have the fifth month, Onwabu, June, July, a month for rituals restraining melancholic Agu deity by tying Ebo, some kinds of rituals we perform. At the end of the day, the full masquerades come out, which restricts movement of women those days, But the essence is that since we are expecting harvest, these melancholic spirits should be kept away so that people can celebrate the coming month of festivity safely. Then you have the Onwa Ifejioko, the yam cord. Yam is at the center of Igbo life. If you have plenty of it, in fact, you may ask me, what is all these things I'm wearing? I'm wearing this because I'm an Oba. Those days, if you harvested up to 10 bands, not 10 sticks, 10 bands of yam, you're entitled to be initiated into the Oba court. And I can bet you, it's not yet fully researched, that we exported, Adela Fibo confirmed that we exported the Oba to Benin. And we used to send priests for the initiation of the Oba of Benin. Yeah. And there is speculation that when the Prince of Benin, Ado, went to Lagos to initiate the Oba in Lagos, he was accompanied by an priest who conducted the rituals. Now you have Uni of Ife talking about Igbos originating from Ife. I laughed. I said, how can it be? The sun rises from the east. He says in the west. And if we are from the west, we should have our own homestead. Somewhere you can say, this is where we lived. But to come and tell me that our home is in the palace confirms the idea that our priests went there to conduct religious and political affairs and can't be any other thing other than teaching them how to become Oba and organize themselves. This is in process. I'm not very categorical about Ife.
Okay.
It's in the process of research, and I'm calling for joint research, but I think they are not interested. I wrote the Oni of Ife a letter and stated this very clearly. It's published in my book, which tells you all about what I'm saying now. That on Wide Spectrum, okay. 2021 book. Yeah. I wrote him, I said, I think there should be a thorough research.
Yes, you stopped at Onwa Ifejoku. You were going through the calendar.
I came to
you stopped at Onwa Ifejoku,
which is 7th. Yeah. Then the next month is the 8th month, Onwa Sato or Onwa Ilomo. That is a month of festivity, celebration of harvest and all kinds of things. Pounded yam. I believe that when Achebe referred to the mound of yam, two people on the same table couldn't see themselves until they had dismantled.
Can we have that calendar on screen while we're saying this, please?
Until they had dismantled the mound and they could see themselves. That's the month when you celebrate the yam. That's Onwa Sato, you know. Then you have the 9th month, Onwana, Earth Force Goddess ritual commences. That's October. By the way, Onwa More is September.
Yes.
Onwa Sato, celebration of the yam. Then 10th month is Onwa Okike. Onwa Okike. Okike ritual. Only adult males can be initiated into Onwa Okike. Then 11th month is Onwa Jana. Land deity rituals continue, late November. The 12th month, Edaja. Land deity ritual continues. Ends with cocoyam feast of cocoyam porridge with bitter leaf and smoked dry fish. Junior masquerades Olaga, but the one that doesn't talk. That's when they come out and they go until late November to December. 13th month is Onwa Uzo Alosi. Offerings to supernaturals. End of the Aro cycle. Let me explain, because a lot of misconceptions are going on about Igbo traditional worship. The Igbo believe in Chi Ukwu, Chukwu Okike, the Almighty God. The only difference is that they're so afraid of God that they have to go through their ancestors, the departed ancestors who are spirits, good ones. And they believe that that's not even enough, that the Almighty is so much that they had to be a supernatural which you now call Alosi. So you go through your ancestors to the supernatural, to the ultimate God. That's why you have, my name is Chukwuemeka. You always have Chi or Chu, whatever, names. You know, praising God, Almighty, one God. So people who think that people had misplaced values or are multi, like the Indians who have as many as 300, 400, 500 gods, and even the Japanese also have more. They are multi gods and the rest of them. But we are not. We one way or the other, we're monotheistic.
So typically now, I would like to know the relationship between this calendar and agriculture in Igbo land, because it looks like it's basically about well-being and survival.
Yeah, if you listen correctly,
yes. I just wanted an elucidation.
When to clear the ground, when to plant, when to harvest, and when to celebrate, when to thank the gods for having given you a good harvest. They are one after the other written down there.
So, okay, the issues around Igu Aro Ndi Igbo and why it doesn't have wide acceptance in many parts of Igbo land. Is there a reason why there is a fizzling out of that interest?
Yes. When the Christian missionaries came with the colonial administrators, they found a civilization they could not go to war. They went to war, I think, 1801 against Aro, because Aro was indulging in human sacrifice and were going to war, inciting war between communities and carrying off conquered people into slave trade. So they went to war. But when they heard about the almightiness of Nri, they came there, they found no gas even in the palace. All through his history, he never went to war. So they now had to devise a means of curtailing the influence First of all, they decreed that Nri priests should not cross the Niger, because as I told you, the Igbo land or in the West, they're all the same thing. They had their influence up to Benin, even though Benin later on detached from the pacifism of Nri and actively participated in slave trade and human sacrifice and the rest of them. You might as well know that those days, if a king died in Benin area, the human beings will carry his corpse on the ground and all will be buried together. All religion doesn't believe in, like I said, the sanctity of human life and respect for the dignity of every individual. Akatmo, Osu, Oru, Ejima, those who were born, who caught the upper teeth, who used to be thrown away, and the rest of them, they're all welcome. And you can develop yourself to any level, take any title once, even if you are you were thrown away from any of these places. The only thing you cannot be is Nri, which is only available for aborigines. That's it.
All right. So I'm quite curious how the Chinese are pumped about theirs.
They fought, and let me give you one example. When one Father Jordan, who was under Bishop Shanahan, visited Nri for the first time, having heard all the stories about the mightiness of this king, his record showed that when he entered in the diary, today I visited the citadel of the Satan, the headquarters of Igbo Juju. So you can imagine the attitude, and that's why they went all out. In 1911, invited hundreds of Igbo communities and ordered that Nri must abrogate the taboos that held Igbo nation in peace. There was no question of shooting anybody or punishing anybody as in any other way, other than if you committed an abomination, you had to live your own life alone until you cleanse yourself. You find an Nri priest to cleanse you. And if because this was difficult, they consult the oracle, Afa. Afa will, not these kind of things they do these days about Afa, Wayo, and so on. People were truthful. Whatever that is required to be done, you'll be purified and you'll be restored to society. So there was peace and order. And since the coronation of Nri challenged the Christian doctrine, one way or the other, because when they started preaching all these Mary Slessor things about Jima and dwarfs and so on and so forth, all those things that they found, human sacrifice and the rest of them, people who were already exposed in Nri tradition told them how these things, Nri forbids it. Then they came to the issue of death and resurrection. They reacted, told the people told the missionaries and the colonialists that Nri dies and resurrects, which is true. Before you ascend the throne, you go through process of ritual death and resurrection. And once you resurrect, you're alone. You will not associate with fellow human beings. You're isolated. There are only young boys who have not reached puberty. There are the people who will cook for the Nri and dress him and the rest of them. He didn't used to visit anybody. You have to come to the palace and do it. So they now said, this thing challenges Christianity. They found it and made up their mind to destroy it. And that was the essence of what happened there in 1911, where they asked him to abrogate all the taboos. One way or the other, He maneuvered it, as the records show. The interpreter was told, if I do what they tell me now, it's death for you. Me, I'm a spirit. I won't die again. Then he asked the interpreter, said, what do I do? He said, listen to me. I'm going to say, let it be as you wish. But you have to interpret to them that he had abrogated it. That was what he did. And everybody dispersed to his own. So there was a lot of challenges. And thereafter, political leaders starting from Azikiwe. During the radio session, I explained to you what he did, that in 1953, when the Richards Constitution came in, creating the regions, the North had its own House of Chiefs. The West had its own House of Chiefs. But there was none in the East, because most of them believe that, like Yoruba and Northern scholars regard us, that our rulers are village-based and nothing beyond the village, according to them, agnostic, whatever, something like that. So they felt reluctant to say who will come. All the communities will now bring their people. But as Azikiwe came up, while he was moving a motion for the creation of Eastern House of Chiefs, 1953, he made a reference to one Amre Talbot, a British anthropologist, who said, certainly, Ezenri is an equivalent of Ooni of Ife or the Sultan of Sokoto, And of course, C.J. Please, who was the regional governor, knew that what Talbot said was true and approved. Eastern House of Chiefs was created. But when constituting it now, we happened to be in the same province with Onitsha. Azikiwe gave the first-class chieftaincy to Obi of Onitsha, founded 1750 as against 900 AD, plus the fact that whatever process of coronation in Onitsha.
Who was the Obi at that time? Who was the Obi at that time? Who was the Obi of Onitsha at that time?
No, their records will expose that. I don't have it off.
Okay.
I can take you back on as far back as Onyejekwe and Okabue and Rezo. I met Onyejekwe's case in 1961. Obiokos, yes.
Yeah, I was
Obiokos, and the rest of them. So they will come and the people will initiate them into our Ozo title. And then they will come, and this one I saw in 1961, come to the palace of Ezenri to ask for Ofo to become Obi of Onitsha. And they happened repeatedly up to then, when after one man, I've forgotten his name, had been given the offer to become Obi of Onitsha. When he went back, Onitsha found some defect in the man, that his wife was not an Onitsha indigene. And therefore, after one ritual, where he was supposed to, when he was supposed to have an embrace from the wife, they found their regulation forbid a non-Onitsha indigene embracing the king to be. So they came they took Onyejekwe and came for him. And of course, Ezenri said, I have lit the moon on top of, Enwezo. I've lit the moon on him, I can't light again. There cannot be two moons in our planet, And they went and started doing all kinds of, whatever they used to do it. So, besides the history, as Henderson, a British, an American anthropologist did record, is the authority on Onitsha. The kingship dates back only to 1875. So, just the other day, as against 900. Now, when you talk about why sometimes, not sometimes, most of the time, the traditional rulers of Nigeria belittle us. Ooni of Ife Its institution dates back to 1145 AD. That's about 145 years after we started. Then Kano, 950. Even though the Fulanese came there after the 1801 to 1809 jihad and took over the throne. But the date of the throne is when actually it started, not when the Fulani conquered. The same thing applied to most of the other kingship. And of course, the ultimate jihadist, Sultan of Sokoto, you can't question him when people under him are there, and all of them are subject to him. So when they gather like this and you bring, there's one time they brought representatives of Igbo nation in the National Traditional Lusaka. I've forgotten his name, from Imo. His kingdom was established in 1996, the other day, by these traditional rulers, East Central State Traditional Rulers Law. And of course, the man went there and become a back carrier to the Sultan. Now, why should they look at you people as serious people? And then, of course, they took a decision that the thing has to rotate from one state to the other in the southeast. That's not how to deal with cultural affairs. Everything is determined by age of institution. Nobody regards that in cultural matter. So you now have representatives of Southeast in the traditional ruling council of Nigeria, determined by rotation of states. And most of the time, people who go there are institutions established by the 1976 decree or edict on chieftaincy. So all these are factors that belittled traditional rulerships in Igbo land. And furthermore, the early writers, particularly in the West, they launched an onslaught. You know, if you see the kind of thing they wrote, there's not even any, because they were looking for kingship where you have gun, you have machete and so on.
They wanted some violent action.
Yes, violent action. They didn't find it. They said the whole thing is village-based and therefore there's no central organization of any kind and therefore no civilization.
We are totally out of time, Oba Agbalanze. But I have to thank you so much, for you to devote your time to do this despite your age. Thank you.
Thank you.
For your perspectives and insights on the subject matter. Thank you.
It gives me a lot of happiness.
All right. That's great. Good to see you in good health still.
Thank you.
That's the Eastern Eye for tonight. If you missed this edition, it will be up and running on our YouTube page tomorrow, and the links will be shared. Don't miss it. My name is Alex Ogbodo. Up next is Nka with Jumai Bolama Shebu. Good night.